So Monta Morris is amazing. He's the backup point guard for the Denver Nuggets, and he is going to lead off our 5 super underrated players of this season. If you were going to go into a lab and create the most fundamentally sound point guard imaginable, there's a decent chance Monta Morris would come out. And when you go into the numbers, not specifically the box score numbers, but the advanced stats and the efficiency stuff, he's definitely one of the best passers in the NBA. We'll talk about that in a second. But another reason why he's been so good for Denver is that his efficiency as a playmaker carries over to his scoring. He's shooting 44% from 3. He's not afraid to attack the basket, even though he's pretty short. He's 6'3", not as short as I thought. Whatever, we'll keep going. And when you combine that with his playmaking, you've got a guy who has allowed the Nuggets to still be one of the best offensive teams, even though Will Barton has barely played and Gary Harris has missed a decent amount of time as well. So Monta is great, and if you ever watch the Nuggets and their second unit is in the game, just watch the way that Morris moves, watch the decisions that he makes, and he rarely makes a mistake out on the floor. I'm going to give you some numbers, okay? For the season, Monta Morris has 118 assists, and he has 19 turnovers. That's complete insanity if you ask me. And as you may expect, he has the best assist-to-turnover ratio in the NBA, and he's just great. I love him. I love him. That's all I can say. Next up, we're going to go to a shooter in Justin Holiday of the Chicago Bulls. Holiday has quietly been one of the best shooters in the league, as he is shooting 7 threes a game at around 36-37%, which is not through the roof, but given that his attempts are so high, the effectiveness is still there if you ask me. And he's not just doing it through catch and shoots. I mean, he's going off the dribble, he's shooting contested threes, but even so, if we can talk about those catch and shoots for a moment, if you leave them open, it's pretty much going in. I mean, like I said, even if the percentage is not at 40+%, defenders know that they have to stay glued to him, so that's fine. If we go to his contested shots and the way that he can turn his body and contort in midair, and the fact that just a guy in his face doesn't seem to really bother him that much, that's the kind of guy who can make your offense so much better, even if his actual point total is only, 12 points a game, I believe it is. Because the moment he starts moving, defenders know, oh, we got to switch this screen, or the big's got to step up on the pick. That's another thing with Holiday, is he can go off the dribble with some of these threes as well. So I would expect that whatever team he is on, whether it's the Bulls right now, some other team later on, because he's got 1 year left on his deal, is going to be pretty decent offensively whenever he's in the game. Next up, we're going to talk about Dorian Finney-Smith of the Dallas Mavericks. Defense has been his calling card for the past couple of years, as he's a guy who's around 6'7", 6'8", a decent athlete who just had a nose for getting blocks, getting steals, showing a real effort defensively, and that has allowed him to get consistent minutes in the NBA, even when his offensive game was never really a thing. But this season, he's giving the Mavericks all that defensive stuff, but he's also putting the ball in the basket a little bit too. His three-point percentage is actually respectable. He's shooting around 3.5 a game. He's way more comfortable and aggressive when he's got an opportunity. And he has been a pretty big impact guy for the Mavericks. I mean, the lineup of him with the starters replacing Wesley Matthews has been really good. And the Mavericks bench has been a huge reason why they've been a good team lately. I mean, on top of the heroics of Luka Doncic. And Finney-Smith has played a part in that. The Mavericks believed that they could turn him into a quality two-way wing, and sure, it's still relatively early in this season, so we're going to have to see if he can maintain it, but seems like he's gone to a different level as a player. Next up, DJ Augustin, who's been in the NBA for quite a long time, and his impact has mainly been that he can shoot. The Magic have desperately needed a point guard who could actually cause the defense to have to care along the three-point line for the past few seasons, so while Augustin's actual box score numbers don't jump out at you, he's helping the Magic be, at times this season, in certain lineups and through certain stretches of the year, not a bad offensive team, and they have been one of the worst offensive teams for the past few years. And he actually reminds me a bit of Monta Morris in the sense of his size and his athleticism are gonna make it to where he can never be a big-time scorer in the NBA, but for the 25 to 30 minutes he's playing for the Magic this year, he's helping them out quite a lot. I mean, 5 assists to 1 turnover a game. That's pretty damn good as well, if we're going to marvel about passing efficiency. He just makes Orlando work, and do I expect him to be the long-term point guard of this team? No, of course not, but for what he is doing right now, hey, it's just enough for the Magic to potentially get into the postseason, which is something that they have wanted to do for quite a while. And finally, John Collins, the Hawks' second-year player. He's putting up like 17 and 10 this year, and a big reason is because he is a force on the offensive glass, grabbing about 3.5 of those a game. The athleticism is not a secret, I think everybody knows that one, but I would say he's gotten a little stronger this year, and he just plays hard on every single possession. He's always around the rim, always in a position to make a difference, but it is not that. He's doing a lot more. He is one of the better alley-oop targets in the league. The one thing that hurts him is that his reach is not where you'd really love it to be given his size and position, but because the dude can jump so damn high and he's coordinated around the rim and all that, he seems to make up for it. Every time he's rolling to the rim and the ball is within his vicinity, decent chance he's going to finish with it. And there's not a lot of bigs who can keep up with him from an athletic standpoint in the league. But he's also got some moves around the rim. His range is getting out to at least about 10 feet right now, where he's got an array of post moves and hook shots, and I would say that there's a chance that he could still be improving on these things, and who knows where he'll be in a few seasons there. And he's got a nice amount of craftiness to combine with his athleticism to make him pretty damn good for the Hawks.